Adult film industry workers, editors, operators, and assistants, what challenges do you regularly face at work? A few years ago, when I was visiting relatives in the US, their neighbor invited us all to a barbecue for his birthday. It turned out he used to make documentaries but had been earning a living in recent years as a cinematographer and director shooting high-budget adult films. I work in a studio for a major film company, so we had plenty to talk about. Sitting in his backyard, we discussed various topics before inevitably moving on to his current profession. The conversation was bound to happen. I asked him, "Does filming adult movies turn you on now that you're the one shooting them?" He confidently replied, "Hell no, not at all." "Why not?" He explained it was because of the smells. Apparently, when you're filming an adult movie in a small space, the smell is exactly what you'd expect: saliva, sweat, bodily fluids, and all of it mixed with the fruity scent of lube. He described it as being in a porta potty while holding strawberry ice cream. He said he can't even watch adult films anymore because the smells immediately come to mind, killing any desire. A single actress can create a ton of problems for the director and the entire crew. For example, she might show up late, without a doctor's note, looking disheveled, or under the influence. She might demand a different partner, have a panic attack in the middle of a scene, or throw a tantrum. Many of our actresses grew up in tough environments, and a lot of them have unstable mental health. On social media, they maintain an image of playful, aroused women, but in real life, they're completely different. Sometimes it's even sad to see a studio, run by a scruffy middle-aged man, exploiting a young woman. Many leave the industry after a year, regretting ever getting involved. Those who survive often end up working behind the scenes. The crew also faces issues with talent agencies. Shady agencies with bad reputations scam both the studio and the actresses. Sometimes they demand commissions from actresses even if they refuse a role they got through the agency. They tell us an actress will show up for a shoot, but at the last minute, they change their mind. These kinds of problems happen often, and it's especially tough when you're the one who has to deal with them. I worked as a makeup artist on adult film sets for a while. The hardest part was making sure fake eyelashes stayed on during the shoot. I'm a camera operator, and I often work with new actresses. I have to deal with random stress-induced farts, something people rarely mention. Sometimes you're filming a scene, and suddenly your nose is hit with a gas attack. The worst is when an actress farts, then runs to the bathroom and has such an explosive moment that the smell fills the entire studio or hotel room where the shoot is happening. That's the kind of thing you deal with in this job. I worked at a publishing house that produced adult books. Once, we worked on a book describing 101 intimacy positions. The publisher insisted on exactly 101 poses because the marketing team said it was the perfect number. So, we hired models for 101 photos. My God, we, and especially the models, were exhausted during the shoot. In reality, there aren't that many practical ways to position bodies during intimacy. I used to work in law enforcement but left the police because I disagreed with the leadership's decisions and actions. Now I work as a contractor for adult film websites, reviewing uploaded videos for content involving minors, hidden recordings, or scenes of violence. If I find videos with children, I report them to the authorities and provide details about the account that uploaded them. Sometimes I hate my job, but at least it feels like it's doing some good. The pay is better than in the police, and the work is much safer. I hope to stay in this field for a while because, honestly, adult content will always be in demand. My predecessor turned out to be a pedophile and was arrested, causing his team to lose their contract. That made it easier for me to get this job since I'm a former cop, and it makes everyone feel safer. A few years ago, I was invited to a shoot for a fetish adult film in a San Francisco bar. A young woman was tied up naked, doused with beer, and spanked. After the shoot, I talked to her a bit, and she said the hardest part of her job is that people don't understand she enjoys it. No one forces her to do it, even though the film's plot might suggest otherwise. I guess I was only peripherally involved in the industry. I worked on editing and visual effects. The hardest part was being given a ton of raw footage without proper timing. Actors improvised so much during shoots that I often couldn't figure out what was happening in the frame. They also frequently gave me shots with blank backgrounds and other missing materials. What annoyed me the most was that the shoots were rushed, done by amateurs who made mistakes that only became apparent later in production. I used to do sound editing for adult films. I often had to remove sounds like fire or police sirens or other background noises and replace them with moans. If street noise was recorded during the shoot, I'd often use the same moan track, and no one ever noticed. My friend worked part-time writing scripts for adult films. The hardest part was designing scenes. The studio would give him a title, the locations for the shoot, and the number of actors and actresses involved. With that, he had to create a storyline that used all the specified locations and different combinations of actors and actresses. You couldn't use the same pair twice because viewers tend to skip scenes with a couple they've already seen together. So, the toughest part of writing wasn't the script itself, it was figuring out the combinations of actors and actresses. Another friend worked as a driver for an adult film studio. He drove actors and actresses to the shoot and back home. It wasn't an easy job because they were almost always under the influence of drugs. He had to go into their homes, dress them, and carry them to the car, or vice versa. Sometimes they made it to the car themselves but then peed or vomited in the back seat. He had to clean the car while they were shooting, and when he picked them up afterward, they reeked of all the smells associated with intimacy. He had to clean the car again after work. He told me about one actress who seemed level-headed and was always polite and interesting to talk to. But then she started dating another actor and got hooked on drugs. His stories completely changed my view of adult films. I always thought everyone involved was there willingly and that it was liberating. But from what they told him while drunk, many were abused at a young age and almost all hated themselves. Now, adult films scare me more than horror movies. I work as a camera operator for adult films, an insane experience. Only truly crazy people can do this. I'm from Miami, and in college, I had a friend who starred in a few adult videos. One day, I hung out with him and the operator he worked with that day. The people who hold the camera during adult shoots often invest their own money in the studio, and some even own the studio or channel. Some work as both operator and director. The operator working with my friend made me nervous when I was around him. I constantly felt like he was on the verge of committing a crime, but at the same time, he was cheerful. They kept talking about the shoot, and the operator trashed the actress they worked with that day, not holding back on crude remarks about her and others. I listened in shock. My friend later admitted that the filming process itself was fine, and he thought he did well, but it bothered him that the operator got too close to him. Sure, he has to do that, but I think that creepy operator is why my friend stopped acting. My cousin used to edit adult films during post-production. She quit because the grueling schedule was affecting her health. She's still friends with many of her former colleagues, and she shared some interesting facts with me. Most actors do it to pay for college. The kinkier the scene, the higher the pay, and lesbian scenes pay the least. Working as a webcam model can earn you a ton of money. I worked for about 3 years in a small provincial adult film studio. I handled most of the paperwork, including tax reports, writing checks, booking hotel rooms, and other administrative tasks. During live streams, I held the camera, helped actors, ran to the store if something was urgently needed for the shoot, and so on. The crew consisted of 45 people, 2 handled cameras, 1 was the director, and the rest set up lighting, static cameras, and monitored screens. One notable thing was the smell. Shooting locations always reeked of a weird mix of latex and lube, plus the smell of snacks between takes. The more people involved in a shoot, the harder it is to stick to a schedule. Sometimes, getting everyone to the set is harder than herding cats. And when everyone finally shows up, something always goes wrong, a camera or light breaks. Everything's always rushed, yet you're constantly waiting for someone. The actual process of filming adult content lacks even the slightest hint of sexiness. Once, I even fell asleep during a shoot because the actresses that day were so uninteresting that I started nodding off. I can divide adult film actresses into 2 categories. The first are very smart women who entered the industry to achieve their life goals, some even plan to get PhDs. As for the second category, I'd say some rocks have more brains than them. And somehow, every actress falls into one of these 2 categories, there's no in between. Another thing, actors rarely reach climax on camera without some help. They often have to prep beforehand. As an operator and editor, when people are actively engaged in a small space under bright lights, it gets hot. Operators have to hold the camera steady, sometimes leaning on an actor's shoulder for point-of-view shots. It feels like a workout in a sauna. Plus, everything gets covered in that damn lube, which you have to clean up afterward. If you're shooting in a rented space, you're in for a real hassle. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new, super interesting discussions. In the meantime, check out our other videos.